Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back and welcome to pinstriping helicopter blades. Now, one way you can do pinstriping is, say you want to leave your blade underneath the pinstriping, the black color or whatever color your blades happen to be if they're a solid color, right? So then you tape it off with pinstriping tape. Now, this stuff actually works pretty good with the right paints. With a paint like the Krylon Yellow, which is what I used here, and it has the primer built in, but regardless whether it's paint and primer in one or straight paint, it becomes a problem, is what the bottom line is. So pinstriping the old school way wasn't going to work out for me with the blades. So I actually ended up trashing a complete set of 4 blades attempting to do this. Because what happens is the paint actually was able to bleed through the tape, and the tape, when it was pulled up, actually left some really nasty looking cut lines. So I wanted these things to be very pro and proper, and so I decided, well, let's try another way of doing this. And so I painted the entire blade yellow because it was going to be yellow anyhow, but I wanted black from the underside of the blade. This time I just painted the entire blade yellow, which used a lot less paint in the end, created a much smoother finish, of course, and now it's going to allow me to put on actual pinstriping tape. Now this is automotive tape that I use for this. It's automotive grade pinstriping tape, and this stuff works really good because you get a couple chances to maneuver it in proper place. And then you just, massage it into place, let it sit for 24 hours, and she's all good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a small piece off here. And you want to try and make sure your cut line is as squared off as possible, right? Because you're going to go edge to edge here. So you've got to peel the backing on this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the opposite end, where I'm not worried about it. This is kind of tedious doing this. So now your first piece of pinstriping, you have to decide, well, how far back do I want to go? And line that up with the edge and get it on there as square as you can. And then, well, it's up a little bit, make sure it looks straight across as possible. Now we're going to take an X-Acto knife and very carefully go along the edge here and cut our piece off. So this is going to be too short of a piece for the next one because the blade gets wider as we go down. So you're going to get a little bit of waste here and there, but that's okay. Now you get to decide yourself what kind of pattern you think is going to look good. So you might want to actually trace out your helicopter blade on a piece of paper and just draw in your lines on the paper diagram and see what looks good, and then that's the kind of pattern you're going to follow. Okay, so this end I can see is not 100% square, so I'm going to trim this little end up since I have the room to do it. Now you need very sharp scissors for doing this with. It looks like this end's more square. Alright, we'll go with this end. So, again, we pick up our blade. Now I want my neck spacing to be about here. Now you got to eyeball this to make sure it looks the same, so that you have equal space from each end here. Now that looks pretty damn good. So just push this down, come right to the edge, and then we'll take our X-Acto knife blade very carefully and just pull it very slightly as you move in, and this will make a nice clean edge and it won't hurt your paint job. So that's how you go about pinstriping your blades. So now you get the same effect. So instead of putting pinstriping masking tape down or pinstriping tape and then painting everything yellow and then pulling the tape later, now you paint the surface the color you want, then do your pinstriping after, and it's going to turn out just awesome, just like this. So then you just, like I said, continue on. Now when it comes time to do the other blade, and we've got 4 of them in this case, what I do is I take the 2 blades like this and I line them up, make sure they come out even. So at this point I would take something like an edge like this and I'd make sure that they come up flat against it, and then you hold them down and you take your first piece of tape and get it lined up, get that one in, and then after that it's freehanding from there for the next one. So however many of these in a row you go, you're going to have to line up each one of them individually. So your first one you line up here, boom. Your second one, you can eyeball it freehand or go right to the edge, boom, 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 and until you're all done. And that's how it's done, guys. And it's pretty simple, pretty easy. The cost of the tape is pretty reasonable. It's cheap. You get a ton of tape on one of these rolls, so very cost effective. And it's a lot of fun, but it is a little tedious. And you got to try and get these edges as square as you can when you cut them, because you're coming up against a square edge here, so you don't want it to look cockeyed or anything. So before you go too far, just make your slice and eyeball it, see if it looks square, if you got a high corner or low corner. If you do, then you know, okay, I was a little on the high side, so let's nip a bit. Now that looks passable for being square. There's also other ways too. You can square things off too. Take the edge of a table and you can try that method of trying to square it up. The thing is, I mean, if you're out like this a little bit or out like that a little bit, it could be a problem. But there are a lot of different ways to square up your edges. And always peel from the back side first, so that you have that overhang. You peel from the overhang area so that you leave your front edge alone, because if you crinkle the tape, then it's kind of ruined at that point. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.